What's up, friends? Fellow card collectors, Card Obvious here, and today we are going to be doing a sort of off the cuff. As you can see, I'm in my off the cuff color tone here, with some random baseball highlights playing in the background. Hopefully, the sepia tone and the little bit of blur will hopefully not get it flagged by MLB and want me to take it down. But I guess we'll find out when we find out. So, anyways, this off the cuff, I guess I should call it. It's an off the cuff, is the hobby 10 questions. All right. So I got the idea to do this after seeing a video from a channel called Something Sports Cards. I have a link to Something Sports Cards channel in the description below. Go check them out. I believe they're under 50 subs. But I discovered their video through Ziggy No, and I know some of you may not like Ziggy No. He's kind of a bit of a controversial figure sometimes in the community. But I'm okay with Ziggy No's stuff. He seems to be putting more effort to promote some of the smaller streams and some of the smaller content creators on YouTube as well. So yeah, I have Ziggy No's link in the description below, as well as Something Sports Cards. Check them both out if you are not subscribed to either of those channels. So anyways, these and I don't know what I'm these anyways, this video, the hobby 10 questions from that I got the idea from Something Sports Cards is 10 questions that I'm going to answer as a content creator in the sports card hobby. So the first question was, or is, what does the term the hobby mean to you? Now, first, probably need to define what hobby means, right? So I looked up this definition online. This is not something I carry around in my head. I just looked it up online. The hobby means it's something you do in your leisure time or pleasure. Now, pleasure is a key word in that sentence because a lot of times it seems like some people take the hobby way too seriously, where, things in the hobby will make them angry. And, I can understand anger can come from a point where if somebody else is ruining your pleasure in the hobby. But at the same time, you shouldn't take it too seriously. It is a hobby. It's something you should be doing for fun. Um, you know, and if it's no longer fun for you, why are you doing it, right? It's no longer a hobby if it is not pleasurable, according to the definition. So, what does the term the hobby mean to you? Well, coming from a sports card collecting standpoint, the hobby to me is everything that is involved in sports card collecting, and that includes everything from the actual collecting, the selling of cards, the manufacturers, the creators of supplies, content creators, influencers, what have you. Those are all encased in the hobby. Now, sure, the hobby is very general. So when you say the hobby to somebody, it may not mean the same thing to them. Because there's a lot of overlap. You may collect cards, but you might not collect sports cards. Maybe you collect gaming cards, right? Maybe you collect sports memorabilia, but you don't collect cards. Like maybe you collect helmets and jerseys and bats, stuff like that. Maybe you collect cards, but they're like, the Leaf Pop Century cards where, they got celebrities or Game of Thrones or Walking Dead, all that stuff. So yeah, there's a lot of overlap in the hobby. So the hobby is a very broad, general term. And that's when I hear the term the hobby, that's what I think about. I think about everything that's in and around and that supports the collecting hobby, including sports card collecting and all those other forms of collecting. It's that huge kind of circle of overlapping circles. It's a giant circle of overlapping circles. Yeah, that is what the term the hobby means to me. So question number 2, what is the best part of the hobby? To me, the best part of the hobby is being able to connect with people of similar interests. Being a cardboard collector, feels really, really nerdy sometimes. I mean, I'm a giant nerd anyways, so I'm constantly feeling like a nerd. But to know that there's others like me, and to be able to connect with them through content creation or involvement in a small niche community like the YouTube card collecting community, I think is the best part of the hobby is to be able to talk about baseball cards, talk about sports, talk about what interests you. You know, people love to talk about themselves. People love to talk about their own interests. And when your interests connect with the same interest as somebody else, you got something in common and you're able to talk about it. And it creates community. And I think that's the best part of the hobby is the community aspect of the hobby. And that's any hobby. It's not just the hobby, you know, doing quote marks. You only see one hand there. For some reason, oh, there it goes. This one is not showing up because of the virtual green screen. Um, but yeah, so that is the best part of the hobby to me is the fact that it creates a community around it and promotion of the community and some of the good stuff this community does for each other for pretty much strangers on the internet. Yeah, sure, some of us talk outside. We email each other, you know, we might text each other from time to time. You know, phone calls, you know, friendships occur because of the hobby. But I've seen people in the community do things for people in the community, other people in the community they don't even really know, which I think is pretty cool. So yeah, that is my answer for question number 2. Question number 3. What is the worst part of the hobby? Uh, this question can probably be applied to anything, not just a hobby per se, but you know, it really stands out in a hobby, including, you know, trading cards hobby, actually any hobby. I'm sure this occurs, and it's anybody that purposely is dishonest or disrespectful for personal gain without the care of who they're hurting down the road. So if you're an eBay seller and you're selling a Jordan rookie, I mean that seems to be fresh in everybody's mind. You're selling a Jordan. Let's say you're selling a Hank Aaron rookie card. You have a Hank Aaron rookie card and you know for a fact that it's not real, that it's a fake Hank Aaron rookie card. And you purposely go on eBay and you sell it as a real Hank Aaron rookie card. Then you are a prime example of the worst part of the hobby. You are deliberately being dishonest and without care of who you're hurting down the road by selling a fake card. If you pack a prison box full of Austin Powers packs and rewrap it, you know what you're doing. That's the worst part of this hobby. And like I said, that's the worst part of any hobby. Anybody that's dishonest and is willing to hurt others or step on others in order for personal gain, I consider the worst part of the hobby. And it's not, you know, relegated just to the sports card hobby. This happens in a lot of hobbies. It's not just sports cards. But yeah, that is the worst part. So question number 4, who is your PC? As in personal collection. If you don't collect, you may wonder what a PC is. That's a personal collection. So a personal collection is a funny term to me because, you know, there's quite a few people that collect everything. You know, calling you out, Shaw Racing collects, and some of the other folks out there just seem to collect everything. Boomslang. But yeah, no, a personal collection is what do you collect? What is your goal in collecting? What do you look to accumulate, I should say? Well, for me, anybody that watches my YouTube channel knows that I collect cards of Hall of Famers. And I don't, you know, drill down on that. I don't say, oh, I only collect Hall of Famers from their playing card day or playing days. I collect all cards of all Hall of Famers, even modern stuff. New Hall of Famer comes along, gets voted in, they get added to the list for my collection. I just collect Hall of Famers. I really love the history of baseball, and that's why I collect that way. I also collect the Atlanta Braves. They're my favorite baseball team, so I've been collecting Braves. That's probably the first thing I collected as a kid was Braves and Miami Dolphins, who I was about to get to in a second. That's my football team. I'm a huge Miami Dolphins fan. In fact, football is my favorite sport over baseball. But when it comes to the hobby, for some reason, baseball just resonates with me more. So I'm mainly a baseball collector. I dabble in football, but these past couple years after the pandemic, really put a damper on my spirits in collecting football. With not being able to find product and the craziness that surrounds, you know, retail, and the huge gaps in hobby prices and retail prices causes retail shelves to get, it just became a hassle to try to collect football. And so I kind of just put that to the wayside. I don't really collect football anymore as far as buying sealed product and ripping it. I focus more on baseball. I mean, trying to collect all cards of Hall of Famers, that's more than enough to keep me busy enough in the hobby. But if I do come across Miami Dolphins cards, those go in the collection. Of course, my Braves cards, those go in my collection. And I am also a Miami Hurricanes fan, college football. So I come across cards of people that were former Miami Hurricanes. Yeah. So I think it's funny there. I'm looking in the background here, and you can see they're running the bases backwards because I got the video mirrored in hopes that, maybe YouTube won't catch it with their algorithm. But they probably will, because that's just the way it is. All right. So question number 5: do you buy and sell for profit or just collect? It's kind of an odd wording for a question because it's saying, do you do this or that, without implying that you can do both. And I think both people or both answers fit for most people. Sure, there's true collectors out there that do nothing but collect, and there's true entrepreneurs out there that have no collection at all, personal collection, and the hobby is just a means to make money. It's a spectrum. It's not a this or that. So yes, I do buy and sell for profit, and I also collect both. So I'm on the spectrum closer to where Mike Sommer is. If you are unfamiliar who Mike Sommer is, he is the host of the Wax Pack Hero podcast, and his main thing is about selling cards for a self-sustaining hobby. You know, not to necessarily make bank, not to necessarily, buy a car with your proceeds from selling sports cards, but to sell sports cards with the intent of taking that profit and buying more sports cards. The self-sustaining hobby, it's the model I try to follow. I think it's a model most collectors try to follow, is they try to sell stuff that they don't have in their or don't want in their personal collection, so they can add more stuff to their personal collection or rip more packs, which is, part of taking part of the hobby. But yeah, so both. I do buy and sell, and I collect. All right. If you could change, this is question 6, by the way. If you could change one thing about the hobby, what would it be? Ooh, that could be quite a few things. Man, this off the cuff. Maybe I should write a script. This one, because there's a lot of things I'd change about the hobby. I think one broad thing I would change about the hobby is just the focus on value. It seems like the hobby is just, everything's about value nowadays. It's not about the card. And this reminds me, like John Mangini just put out a video the other day. Was it yesterday, the day before? I don't know. Talking about seeing, or was it Baseball Collector? I don't know. They were kind of both Mike Baseball Collector and Mangini Collection, kind of talking about the same thing with this focus on value and the focus on slabs over the cards. It's like, it's become more of a focus on the medium of wealth transfer, I guess you could say, versus actual cardboard. That's what the hobby is. It's cardboard. It's nothing more than that. It's cardboard. It feels weird when you say it over and over again, but if you ever feel like the hobby is getting too serious for you, say it's cardboard, because that's what it is. It is cardboard. And there's so much focus on value nowadays. It's like people rip packs and they're like, the first thing that comes out of their mouth is like, I wonder how much that is worth. What's it worth to you? I mean, if I open a pack and I pull a Guillermo Heredia out of a pack, it's worth a lot to me. It's a Braves card. I didn't have it. That's awesome. To somebody else, that card's nothing. They might even call it trash, which you shouldn't do. You shouldn't call other people's cards trash. Everybody collects what they collect. And the focus on value kind of drives a bit where the hobby's at today. If you look at some of the biggest influencers, it's all about flipping cards, selling cards, investing in cards, flexing the amount of money spent at a show, showing the bangers you get. What's the purpose of showing off a banger if you're going to sell it the next week? That's the thing. It's a flex. Look how much money I made. And like I said, that's part of the hobby, and I don't fault anybody for doing that. But it seems like that has become the biggest segment of the hobby that you hear about the most. It's at least become the loudest part of the hobby, is the value crowd. I'm not going to say the investment crowd. I'm not going to say the flipper crowd. I have no problem against people wanting to put money into cards, hoping for monetary gain. I have nothing against that. It's just, it seems like that side, I'll call it the value side, has gotten bigger than the collector side. And that's one thing I would change. I kind of balance that out a little bit more. So there is a more focus on the joy of collecting. You know, the set collector is gone. I wouldn't say they're gone. You still have set collectors on YouTube making content. But people that get excited just to hit a base card, to hit an insert, to hit a gold parallel of a player from their team, and not without the worry of, am I going to get a return from ripping this pack? Am I going to get a return from, my trip to the card show? Because when collectors go to the card shows, they're not looking for a return on their investment of the cards they bought. They're looking for cards to put in their boxes, to put in their binders, to say, hey, look what I got. And this is a card I'm going to have forever. And when it comes to the value game and you have this hype cycle, it seems like the value collectors are the customer and the vendor at the same time, right? It's a flipper selling to a flipper, not a flipper selling to a flipper and then that flipper selling it to a collector. Because collectors don't see the value game like that. Collectors have a price point and they're like, I'm going to get it at this price point at the soonest chance I get. And it's not really the value game. So like I see the value game it's like a never-ending cycle. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with it inherently. It's just the loudest segment of the hobby right now. And that is one thing I would change. Man, I rambled on a good bit on that question. Okay, 7. How do social media influencers and content creators influence the hobby? Is it good or is it bad? Well, I think it's more of a symptom of where the hobby's at. It's not, I don't think it's the other way around. I really, like, these influencers are after the fact, right? An influencer comes in when there's something that they can grab a hold of, for the most part, because most influencers are in it for a reason. There's personal gain to be had there. Maybe they started as just a minor content creator and, caught wind, got caught up in the algorithm, and now they're considered an influencer. But yeah, I think influencers are more of a symptom of where the hobby's at versus leading the hobby. I believe, people saw, especially during the pandemic time, these highlights behind me that are reversed are creeping me out because people are hitting ground balls and running towards third base. It's like Bizarro World behind me. Either way, yeah, I think they're a symptom. So like, there's money to be made on anything. You're gonna have people trying to get a piece of that pie, right? And influencers and social media, which is part of society now for the most part because of the internet. I truly don't think humanity is ready for social media. I don't think our brains have learned how to handle social media yet. I think we're still in the very, very infant stages of social media. We do not have it figured out yet. And it's probably going to be a few years before we do have it figured out. But yeah, I think it's more of a symptom. I don't think they influence the hobby much. I think the hobby influences the influencers more than the other way around. Yeah. So that's the answer to that question. 8. What is the future of card shows? I see more card shows. I actually see more and more card shows. I think you're going to see lesser focus on the bigger national card shows and see more focus on regional card shows, maybe quarterly card shows. Maybe even card shows that are in small towns. Maybe there's a card show or even like a trade night. I think trade nights are another thing that, could be done from town to town, even shop to shop. Um, if the hobby gets strong enough, trade nights will be a thing. But see, that's where my one thing I could change about the hobby kind of falls in there. If it's all the value crowd, like is a collector going to go to a trade night that's full of the value crowd and be able to walk out of there with something they like? Is possible. Or is it just going to be sellers selling to sellers, like all a bunch of business to business transactions, as everybody's looking to buy at margin so that they can, have some meat on the bone for themselves, right? At some point, that cycle's got to stop because it's got to end up in an end collector at some point, right? Or it's just a never ending hype cycle. But yeah, that's where I see it. I think smaller shows will be a thing. Trade nights are a thing. Yeah, and like, there's still quite a few card shows around, even if people say the hobby is crashing. Yeah, sure, maybe the values of the big boy cards are crashing, but if as long as there's card shows going on, the hobby's just fine. Hobby's just fun. Okay, number 9. How will Fanatics impact the hobby, better or worse? I don't know. I truly do not know that. Uh, I don't think. I think the Fanatics is going to do something. The hobby will adapt. The hobby will respond, and then Fanatics is going to be forced to respond to that. So it's like a dance. Um, Fanatics is not just going to come out, change everything, and say this is the way it's going to be, like it or leave. No, they're a business. They need to make money. Uh, so if Fanatics does something and it's a flop and people don't buy it, they're not going to do it anymore because they got to make money. So wherever the crowd is at, wherever the hobby is at, as far as the hobby needle is concerned, when Fanatics starts doing their stuff, Fanatics is going to have to adapt to the hobby, probably more than the hobby's going to have to adapt to Fanatics. I think a couple of these questions puts a lot of onus on, like people outside of the hobby influencing the hobby. I think the hobby is the other way around. The hobby will influence business. Sure, business can influence the hobby, but I think for the most part, the hobby moves more slowly than people think, as far as change is concerned. And I think Fanatics will be making a big mistake trying to change a bunch of stuff at once. They want to implement change, they're going to do it slowly and see how the hobby responds because they're going to have to respond in kind. But yeah, so I don't know if it's going to be better or worse, but it'll be adaptable, that's for sure. Okay, number 10, finally. What am I talking for 20 minutes here? Rambling. Just rambling on. Where is the future of the hobby going to be in 10 years? You're looking at it. It's going to be almost exactly the same. You're still going to have content creators. You're still going to have scammers, I guess you could say. You're still going to have influencers. Uh, whether that needle moves towards more collecting, more to the value side, you're still going to have people complaining. You're still going to be having community around it. It's going to be pretty much the same. Not sure, there might be a new technology. There might even be a new company or two. Maybe some more grading companies. You know, maybe there's, who knows? Maybe there's a grading company comes out that'll grade your whole binder and your binder will get slabbed. You'd be like, look at my slab binder, it's my slab binder of, 88 Fleer. Uh, who knows? Who knows where it's going to be at in 10 years? I can't predict. I mean, who could have predicted 2022 and 2020 or in 2012? Nobody. 10 years, like, I don't know where the future is going to be. There's going to be something new. There's going to be something that comes back around that gets popular. There may be some more players in the field as far as when it comes to, grading or supplies or, even manufacturing, maybe even unlicensed product, or maybe there's a new game like collectible card game that catches fire. You never know. There's never been like a sports collecting card game that I've known to catch fire, like say something like Magic the Gathering or Pokemon. Has there been a sports theme trading card game that's caught on like that? Probably not. I believe those games are catered more towards non-sports fans, people that are into, fantasy books and role playing and stuff like that. And there's nothing wrong with that. I just don't think sports fans in general are the kind that would get into collectible card games. It's kind of two different sections, but you never know. Maybe something like that takes off. Maybe there's an infusion between video games and card collecting. I mean, like already in MLB The Show, you collect cards, right? And there's Topps designs on those cards. Maybe, there's a tie-in for real physical cards. That would be awesome. You get an achievement in a game in MLB The Show and you get a card mailed to you. That would be awesome. That's something I would like to see. I don't play video games like I used to. But man, if MLB The Show gave you, an actual physical card for an achievement in the game, or if you're playing Madden or NCAA football, which is supposed to be coming out, or, NBA Live or whatever it is now. Is it NBA Live? What's the big game? Is it MVP? I don't know. I haven't played a basketball game in so long. But yeah, I mean, who knows where it's going to be in 10 years. I'll be 10 years older. It'll be the hobby in 2032. Man, that's scary to say. I will be officially over the hill by then. Well, technically I'm over the hill now, but it is what it is. I mean, look at me. I'm ancient. I'm black and white. But yeah, that is the 10 questions. I'll post the 10 questions in the description below if you want to do a video like this. Please do a video and put your video responses out there. Share them. I want to see them. Do hashtag 10 hobby 10 questions. That way we can find them, because I love this. I love learning about other content creators and their thoughts on these things. That's my jam. So when it comes to watching YouTube videos, that's mainly what I watch. I watch Hobby Talk for the most part. There's certain other channels I will watch, rip a pack or two, or go over mail days, just because I like their personality and, I get along with them, through talking to them through YouTube or text messages or Discord. But I can't watch all the content on YouTube. There's way too much of it. I'm subscribed to 800 channels. And I can't watch all of it. And to be honest, a lot of it's the same. I mean, how many pack rips of Series 2 do you need to watch? How many pack rips of Gypsy Queen do you need to watch? It's not about the pack rip. The content is only a part of what makes content creation a thing. The personality is the other part. There's certain content creators you just jive with. But when it comes to content, I enjoy Hobby Talk. I really do enjoy Hobby Talk, especially when it's coming from a collector's standpoint. And that's pretty much what this is. So let me quit rambling. I've been on here about 30 minutes. I'm not going to edit this down. I'll try to edit the audio a little bit. But yeah, I'm not going to edit this because it's too much work to edit this right now. and there's a cost reward when it comes to editing. A lot of you that watch my channel know I do edit my videos, to some point. But when it comes to the amount of people that I get on average, 20 to 30 views a video. Okay, my number one video's got over 1,000 views, which is huge, but I never even noticed it got over 1,000. I just happened to be looking at my videos one day and I'm like, man, I got a video over 1,000 views. I rarely get a video that goes over 100 in a week. Usually most of my videos sit around the 30 to 40 mark, and they might creep up from there as time goes on. But yeah, so it's kind of a cost reward thing. I'll still edit my videos a little bit just because I kind of like video editing a little bit. But yeah, for this one, it's just me rambling, and you got 30 minutes of the card hobbyist rambling. So yeah, let me know what your thoughts are in the description below. Hopefully this will be uploaded and I won't have to record it again because of Wander Franco running around backwards back there. I tried to hopefully bypass the YouTube algorithms that say I'm using copyrighted content. But either way, it is what it is. Remember that you can only control two things: that's your thoughts and your actions. So stay positive. Keep collecting them cards. Keep ripping them packs. Keep engaging in the hobby in whatever way you find pleasurable. Whether that is buying and selling, whether that is doing hobby content, hobby talk, whether that is ripping packs, whether it is participating in breaks or performing breaks, whether it is selling cards on sports slots, whether that is just supporting another content creator, whether that be on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. Everybody participates in their own way, and don't let anybody tell you that it's the wrong way Sure, it may not be the way they do it, and they may prefer it be done another way, but don't let them tell you it's the wrong way. As long as you're not being one of those people, I call it the worst part of the hobby, where you're purposely being dishonest and hurting someone else, then it's all good. So thank you all for watching this card hobbies. I'll catch you all later. Peace.